arrest the people using skunk spray, a chemical attack on the students.
Oh my gosh, like it smells like someone is dying. We smelled that.
That's what I was hospitalized for, severe blurred vision.
These students are describing the moment they suffered an alleged chemical attack during a pro-Palestine rally at one of the world's most prestigious universities. Students say the chemical smelled like skunk, which has been used by Israeli forces against Palestinians.
We're not safe in the West Bank. We're not safe in Gaza. Even in the US, we aren't safe.
In this report, we reveal previously unpublished images and footage of suspicious activity at the protest. More than 2 months after the incident, no suspects have been named, while students speaking up for Palestinian rights have received death threats, been doxxed, and targeted by professors.
Does me being Palestinian, does that inherently mean I'm a terrorist? That's how they're treating us.
Some of the students being attacked have lived through the violence of Israel's occupation.
I collected their body parts with my own hands. When we say that our lives are endangered here, and I know it because I lived it before.
So why are Palestinians and their supporters being subjected to violence at a US Ivy League institution? And what is the university doing about it?
Looks like someone said the P word, didn't they? Palestine! Oh no! Shut Colombia down!
We're here to ensure the safety of the event. There's no reason that we should get attacked, but we know that there has been a lot of escalatory violence.
2 weeks after the alleged chemical attack, New York students and protesters are gathering outside Columbia's campus to show solidarity with Palestinians and the students who were allegedly sprayed.
An attack on one of us is ultimately an attack on all of us. Them trying to silence and threaten pro-Palestine students at Columbia is only going to bring more attention to the movement for Palestinian liberation at Columbia, which is what we're doing here today.
There was also a small group of pro-Israel counter-protesters.
I think that they're much more, the rhetoric and the ideas that coming from them are much more anti-Israel than pro-Palestine. Now they're saying genocide. What the hell did you think was going to happen?
If you remain in the roadway and refuse to use the available sidewalk, you will be subject to arrest.
Student leaders found workarounds to avoid getting arrested.
We know history, and we know that Colombia is standing on the wrong side of history.
The American Civil Liberties Union says that since January, NYPD appears to be using sound amplification permits as an excuse to shut down pro-Palestine rallies.
Air horn, man. You know what? Let's start with the leader.
By the end of the march, 12 people were taken into custody and 2 were arrested.
I just had a sign in my hand and he violently went like this and put the sign out of my face and then he hit me. If I was assaulted by anybody else on the street, who do you expect to do something? The cops, and a cop assaults me.
So it happened on the steps up there as we were all gathered together.
Layla was one of the dozens of students who says they were sprayed with a chemical substance on January 19th. She's Palestinian American and has experienced immense loss amid Israel's bombardment of Gaza.
14 of my family members were killed. My family is Palestinian Christian, and they were killed by one of the Gaza church bombings. It's been really challenging to be on campus right now.
Another Palestinian student says he received a death threat at the protest.
A counter-protester comes towards me out of the crowd, and he calls me by name, and he said, Mosen Medawi, I'm going to take your life, I'm going to kill you. And I smiled at him, and I said, what are you afraid of, the truth? He called me in front of public safety, you're a Nazi. Not once, couple times. Public safety done nothing about that.
Philosophy student Mosen Medawi is a Palestinian refugee from the West Bank who experienced Israel's occupation as a child and has lost more than 20 members of his extended family since October.
When I was 5 years old, seeing the Israeli army blasting into our home, coming to arrest my uncles. When I was 11 years old, my uncle Thayer, he was assassinated on the hands of the Israeli army. And when I was 12 years old, they killed 7 Palestinians from the refugee camp. In the middle of the night, I collected their body parts with my own hands. I peeled their skin off the wall. I put their body parts in plastic bags. No child should experience this. I was 12 years old at that time. I saw my best friend getting shot in front of my eyes on the hand of an Israeli soldier. And when I was 15, an Israeli soldier shot me in my leg. That changes the way how we feel, the way how we see the world. When we talk about what's happening in Gaza, it triggers old memories. The sound of bombing, the loss of houses, the killing of people. We are experiencing loss every day for the past 75 years.
It's these kinds of realities that have pushed Palestinian students to demand the university divest from entities involved in Israel's occupation. That was the goal of the January 19th protest, where students say they were sprayed by a chemical.
After I attended the protest, I felt so sick. I kept on throwing up. I had a headache that would not go away. My eyes were burning, and I was just like, this is not normal. Like, something is wrong here. This is a note that I got from the doctor. So the diagnosis I got was exposure to potentially hazardous chemical, and the symptoms I was experiencing include nausea, fatigue, vomiting, headache, loss of appetite. The university's first instinct was to blame us.
The administration's initial response focused on how the protest was unsanctioned. In the days after the protest, at least 10 students were hospitalized and sought medical care. Students believe the substance could be skunk, a crowd control chemical used by Israeli forces against Palestinians in the West Bank. Skunk is known to cause intense nausea, vomiting, difficulty breathing, skin irritation, and eye and abdominal pain. AJ Plus has not confirmed the substance that was reportedly released on the day.
At this point, I still experience eye pain.
A student member of Jewish Voice for Peace says she was also sprayed by a substance. She spoke to AJ Plus on the condition of anonymity, fearing for her safety and backlash from her community.
I went in with severe eye pain, which was my initial diagnosis, and the cause was chemical inhalation.
She was hospitalized for temporary vision loss in the days after. The student describes an interaction between pro-Palestinian Jewish students and two pro-Israel individuals at the end of the protest.
They approached us and started kind of verbally harassing us. The only thing they wanted to tell us is that we were shameful and disgraceful and disgusting, and they kept reiterating that we should take the Jews, that word, off of our banner because we weren't real Jews.
Students believe the two individuals are likely responsible for the alleged chemical attack. AJ Plus could not confirm if they are responsible for the reported incident, but what AJ Plus can confirm is that there was unusual activity at the January 19th protest. We analyzed footage shot from multiple angles of the protest that student journalists and activists have shared with us. The two individuals who reportedly harassed the Jewish students are both students at Columbia and former Israeli soldiers. Before the banner interaction, both individuals infiltrated the pro-Palestinian protest masked with keffiyeh-like scarves. And even earlier, the individual in the orange jacket first appears to show up at the pro-Israel counter-protest holding an Israeli hostage release sign. Next, they're standing next to someone in a navy jacket at the back of the protest. Minutes later, they're both masked. The orange jacket individual is also captured in this photo. Their right index finger appears to be placed on a white object. AJ Plus has not confirmed what the white object is, but can confirm further similar sightings. Here, the individual in the orange jacket motions their arm with what appears to be a white object in their right hand. In this video obtained by AJ Plus, a white object once more appears to poke out from the individual's right sleeve. This exclusive footage obtained by the Columbia Spectator and shared with AJ Plus shows the navy jacket individual approaching someone from behind. They motion their hand towards the person's backpack with what appears to be a white object. Here, the two individuals linger behind the students. A white object appears again. Prior to the release of footage, a student told the Columbia Spectator that she heard a spraying sound when the two individuals were close to her. She said it started smelling really bad when they moved away. Our visual analysis confirms the two individuals joined the protest masked with keffiyeh-like scars before later returning unmasked. This individual's distinctive shoes are visible in both before and after visuals. Here, his cap and sunglasses also match up. The navy jacket individual was also captured in the protest crowd. His distinctive trousers and shoes are some of the features that line up between the visuals. Our visual analysis shows suspicious activity on the day, but it cannot confirm any links between the two individuals and the alleged chemical attack. Students submitted evidence including photos and videos to Columbia's public safety and the NYPD in the days after the protest. On January 22nd, the university announced that NYPD was leading an investigation into serious crimes on campus, including possible hate crimes. More than 2 months after the incident, the investigation is ongoing with no arrests.
I came here on Saturday, January 20th to report what had happened to me. It felt like I wasn't really being taken seriously, or my concerns weren't being taken seriously. The university has not provided us any guidance or anything on how to deal with this.
Columbia University says they have banned the alleged perpetrators from campus while the investigation is ongoing. But Palestinian students say the university has failed to ensure their safety and is neglecting the harassment they've reported. They say the university has shown double standards and repressed pro-Palestinian voices on campus since October.
The university has turned a blind eye to all cases of discrimination and all cases of clear hate speech against us. The university also continued to silence us. They refused to give us permits to protest. They changed policies for getting permits for events.
In November, the administration suspended 2 student groups, Students for Justice in Palestine and Jewish Voice for Peace, for holding a walkout and temporary art installation. The university said the action violated event policies, which the administration had changed just weeks before without following normal procedures. The New York Civil Liberties Union is suing the university for unlawfully suspending the student groups. In November, the university announced a task force on anti-Semitism. Despite multiple requests from Palestinian students, the university has not announced a task force on Islamophobia or other forms of racism.
If the president and the senior administration come and speak with us and know what's in our hearts, what's in our minds, they would know that we are no threat to anyone.
Like many other universities in the country, Columbia is facing pressure from donors and politicians. For example, billionaire Leon Cooperman threatened to cut off funding to the university over its response to pro-Palestine protests.
I've given to Columbia probably about $50 million over many years, and I'm going to suspend my giving.
There's also mounting political pressure. A congressional committee has launched an investigation into anti-Semitism at the university, saying their findings could lead to cuts in federal funding. Columbia's task force on anti-Semitism says Jewish students on campus are facing harassment and racism. A national survey found a quarter of Jewish Americans have faced anti-Semitism in the past year. But Jewish students critical of Israel have said that Columbia's efforts to tackle anti-Semitism are more about suppressing pro-Palestinian speech than protecting Jewish students from racism.
Look at what safety really means. Who are the students who are being met with consistent death threats and multiple assaults on campus?
Palestinian students are increasingly worried for their safety as violence against them has spiked across the country. In a matter of months, a 6-year-old Palestinian child was killed, 3 Palestinian American students were shot, and a Palestinian American man was stabbed.
Palestine is our demand!
Palestine is our demand!
Columbia University has increased security, barricaded the university gates and the administration building in preparation for this student protest.
Listen, you making a sign?
The university's suspension of the pro-Palestinian groups has not stopped students and faculty from gathering.
Well, it's very easy for the outside world to mischaracterize this as, a bunch of rabble-rousing students or something like this. But we're a community, and the institution tries to bully them and threaten them in various ways. We show up and we say, you're not going to get away with terrorizing your own students.
Columbia students today say they're not deterred by the harassment or the attacks.
As much bullying and harassment as I'm getting, I know that it's nothing compared to what people in Gaza are going through.
We have, a growing amount of Jewish people in the movement because we understand that anti-Semitism has nothing to do with the Palestinian issue.
This is not stopping us. In fact, it's making us much stronger. I feel a huge responsibility on my shoulder. Their stories, their pain, their suffering, and the injustice is what's motivating me and keeping me going on this campus.